What's up everyone, Maximilian here and welcome back to episode 2 of Street Fighter Cross Tekken The Online Warrior 2013. So the game's had some time in the public spotlight for now. Street Fighter Cross Tekken has already had some stuff figured out for it, even over the past few days that might have even existed in the previous title before, but with more people playing. Guess what happens? Things get discovered really fast, so it's kind of crazy that the overall general perception of the game, a lot of people that might not have given Street Fighter Cross Tekken a chance before are giving it a chance now, mostly because Capcom was really smart about releasing this patch update as like a free update, as not including any prices and kind of trying to alleviate the issues they had with the DLC fiasco that kind of put them in, going from Cap God to Crapcom over the past year or so. So it's a little funny. I keep reading impressions of people that have played Street Fighter Cross Tekken 2013, and I actually agree with them somewhat. They're like, this game has not changed that much. Like, for the most part, Street Fighter Cross Tekken in itself still has a lot of BS in it, and it can be a little hard to get around. And I kind of agree. I think for the most part, people are actually giving the game a chance now instead of never giving it a chance before, and they're still discovering that some of the stuff in the game can be pretty hard to deal with and can be pretty powerful at times. Like certain block strings can still be really good. Not all chain combo on block. Chain combos on block can actually still be punished. So it's the game is still developing, and it's still a real big time of discovery right now, and a lot of new strategies are being developed. But what I want to talk about today are a couple of strategies that are really big and probably will change in the future, but for the most part are still predominant in the game right now. And the first one is Pandora. So for you guys that are probably obviously aware, Pandora is a game mechanic that allows you to sacrifice one character if they're under 25% and bring in the next character for a damage increase and full meter. In the previous game, the reason it was almost useless is because when you activated Pandora on the sacrifice character, your character came in, and they came in a little bit behind the other character, and they also came in not with full meter, they came in with restorative meter. So they would restore it over time. This was okay, but the big problem was that you could hardly ever get somebody into a combo as a result of this. The big problem with Pandora, especially in the first game, is that setting it up was a pain in the butt. Now, a lot of you guys, like I've said this before, know in the original Ultimate Marvel 3 or Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when X Factor was introduced, it was a little hard to figure out when you need to use X Factor. And because X Factor became such a critical part of Marvel 3 and the comeback mechanic that it is, and it's being the worst, craziest comeback mechanic of any fighting game of all time, it made it very predominantly used, and people, through watching other people playing and stuff like that, really got used to the situations they needed to use it in and apply it. Now, Pandora isn't exactly a comeback mechanic, but it is something that's thrown into the game to change the tide of a match very fast. The only time you would ever actually want to use Pandora is if you're absolutely 150% sure that it's going to kill your opponent. And there are specific Pandora setups that are a lot easier in Street Fighter Cross Tekken 2013 than they ever were in the previous games. In the previous game, any of the characters I used, it was almost or extremely difficult to actually get somebody into a Pandora combo, and if not kill them with it. Now it's actually pretty easy because you get the meter, you can go right into a very fast-acting super, and voila, you get 400 to 500 damage off of no bar if you have a combo. Now, 400 to 500 damage doesn't seem like a lot, but depending on what kind of a combo you get into and kind of a setup you have for Pandora, that can be pretty devastating and can end up being approximately 50% the life bar for most of the cast in the game. Think about that. That's pretty crazy to think that if somebody's beating you by about 25% health and you don't have much left, as long as you got one touch in and they have under 50%, you can actually win. It's also an interesting strategy where, depending on what character synergy you have, depending on how your Pandora setup works between both characters, for example, Ken has a very useful Pandora where he can throw Ogre in by doing off of a launcher, doing his back medium kick, which puts them into a ground-bound state if you're able to catch them in the air. This can be pretty difficult to set up, but the other one with Ogre is that Ogre's got quite a few different ways to go into Pandora through Ken. So you have to practice your different ways to do this, and actually, the practicality of using it has increased exponentially, but it doesn't mean it's any less hard to do because it's still extremely situational. The problem with the original game is that Pandora wasn't only situational, it was also really hard to do because of spacing and differences like that. Like, did you have enough meter? Did you have enough space between the characters? Is it in the corner? Stuff like that. A lot of Pandora setups in the previous game required the corner, and that's actually no longer the case. Now this doesn't, what's funny is that you think about this and it's like, well, Pandora must be easy to do now, right? Everybody's probably got a setup for it. And it's funny, I played for about an hour and a half last night with the sole dedication of just getting a Pandora combo setup, and it never even happened. I had a moment where I thought I had it and realized, oh crap, that's the wrong character's health. Like, I was trying to sacrifice the character that had a bunch of health instead of the character that didn't have enough health, So there's all these little things you have to consider before going into Pandora, between like meter usage, understanding you're going to get enough meter to do this. Is it even worth it to go into Pandora and risk it if I have the meter to potentially kill the opponent? Stuff like that, you know, it's actually this huge underlying depth to the game when your character gets below 25%, but like I was saying, here's a pretty good strategy. Depending on your setup, there's a very good reason you might want to put your character as a point character or a back-end character, depending on how easy the Pandora setup is to do. I actually really like putting Ogre first sometimes on these teams, because what it does is, if you end up getting that character below 25%, and some people I see in later competitive matches will probably do this, even though it gets a little risky. You might actually want to get your character to like 25% sub health. That might actually be a strategy to tag them out and keep them in the end. Essentially at that point, what you get is this point character with a bunch of health, and a character on the back end that now has the potential to unleash like 500 to 600 points of damage depending on your setup whenever you want. The reason I say whenever you want is that if your character on the back end has less than 25%, that's a free Pandora activation whenever the hell you can figure out the time to do it. Now that's actually a pretty powerful strategy, and people are going to have to look at that nowadays, especially when it comes to higher level competitive play. Oh no, he's got a character on the end with 25% health. That means with a quick like boost combo or something that just brings the other character in really fast, they can just do down, medium punch, and medium kick and tag in Pandora to bring in a free super or whatever the hell. Essentially a whole boatload of damage if they get a good small confirm off of a combo. That's crazy. Like, that's a little freaking terrifying, right? And I think that's actually good for the game. It's funny, and like I was saying, tried all night to try to get a Pandora setup, and it just didn't work. I was even specifically going about, like, losing health and trying to get it, but a lot of the time, if you're doing very well, you're not going to lose that much health against your opponent anyway, unless something really random happens, so it's one of those, once again, extremely situational things, and just goes to show you that it was so situational, that's why you hardly ever saw it within the first game. Only extremely specific setups were able to do it, but now it's gotten at least 50% more practical, but will probably happen less than 10% of the time still, so it's something that's actually still really special to see, although much easier to do. So for you guys that are looking for Pandora type setups, there are quite a few videos already online explaining this, and I might actually make a video or two showing some of the ones I have with like Ken and Yoshimitsu, or you know, Yoshimitsu and Ogre or something like that, to give you an example. But what it is look for points that launch your character into the sky and your character recovers faster. What you're looking for is the time to activate Pandora and the extra time for your character to come in with meter to do like a super or to do like a low forward or whatever their fastest move might be to go into a lot of damage. And a lot of damage ends up being their super. Even if you go for like EX moves that like chain into each other, not really worth it. The damage scaling on those combos can be so freaking brutal that it's almost never worth it. So I would not recommend it. I would recommend just going straight into super and seeing how it goes and look up the damage on those. So yeah, look for things that throw your opponent into a aerial stun where they're actually in the air for an extended period of time, and then press down, medium punch, and medium kick, and start gauging how long it takes for you to get a normal out, or if there's enough time for you to get a super. The other ones that are extremely good, and what most setups do, are off of crumple states. What you guys might remember a crumple state, if you do like Yoshimitsu's EX Poison Spit, some characters have like counter hits that actually end up in crumple states as well. Like if you have Ken and you charge up his super for a counter hit, or if you do like, an EX charge or something like that, and do a standing far away heavy kick, it actually puts them into a crumple state. And some characters have that, where their moves from distance actually put them into crumple state situations. Even Julia's like Yoon lunge punch across the screen, which is a overhead, I believe, is actually a crumple state move. So that's something Julia actually has really well to her benefit. It's kind of crazy. That character is really damn good in this game. If you guys don't want to start off with a character that's really good, just try Julia. She is absolutely amazing. But yeah, look for moves like that. Look for things that put people into crumple states. And the other one is ground bounces. Ground bounce are also kind of like crumple states, but not really. They don't give as long as a stun effect as a regular crumple state does. But what it does, it bounces them off of the ground for a period of time. And even though it looks like they're on the ground, you can actually hit them off of the ground. It's not like an OTG Marvel vs. Capcom 3 type of thing. But it is an extended period of time that you can actually mitigate a move in. So what you would look for in situations like that, like for example, I have one, like I was saying earlier, where Ogre does his little step kick in the air. As soon as Ken tags in, he does back medium kick, and that back medium kick, if you catch your opponent in the air with it, it'll put them onto the ground into a ground bounce state. After that, you bring in Ogre, and as fast as you can, as soon as the Pandora animation ends, you go into his super. And his super actually lunges him forward for like, a good 5 feet, even though you're pretty far away from your opponent. And even though it looks like the opponent is actually on the ground, it still hits because they're in that ground bounce animation. There's a lot of other characters in the game that can do this much easier than the characters I use. Like Jury is an excellent example of a character that can do it extremely well. Hwoarang does it very well as well. And there's a lot of other characters that, especially on the Tekken side, do similar things. So the act of using Pandora is dramatically different in this game. I didn't realize how much different it was until I started watching some videos, and I'm like, man, this doesn't look that hard. I wonder how much this is actually going to affect the game. Well, I'm going to go look at it with my characters, and I literally found 3 or 4 setups with like Yoshimitsu and Ogre, or Ken and Yoshimitsu, or Ken and Ogre, and I'm like, wow, this is totally like doable. This isn't even the fact that like I have to really change my entire game plan around this. If the situation presents itself, which doesn't happen very often still, it's one of those things that will just work out, and it'll do a ton of damage when you need it. So give it a shot, guys. Try testing around with your characters. Look for those crumple states, look for those ground bounce states, and look for those extended juggle periods, and you'll actually be able to get into a combo fairly easily using Pandora. So if there's something else regarding Street Fighter Cross Tekken you guys want to know more about, please leave me a comment below. If not, I think I'm actually going to go about and probably right after this record some of those setups just for you guys, so within maybe about an hour or two after this video coming out, I'll go ahead and render and splice together some Pandora setups using a couple of my characters that you guys can understand exactly how it works and what you should be trying to look for with the characters you're using if you're trying to get back into Street Fighter Cross Tekken 2013. To finish off today's episode, what I briefly wanted to talk about was something that a lot of the upper echelon competitive players have been discussing and trying to figure out is like, the Tekken side of the cast has this ability to mix up high and low in between a majority of their tag combos or whatever, and it can be pretty difficult to block against because they actually have overheads, and for the most part, a lot of their overheads are comboable. If you guys haven't seen with me using Yoshimitsu, he has that forward medium kick and he spins around a bit, which is actually a like target combo overhead that he has and leaves you with an extended period of time to bring in Ken or whoever the hell else I have on my team to do pretty good damage, and that's damage off of an overhead. Now, this was seen a lot in the previous game. Characters like Ryu, especially, and Akuma had this ability to do their forward medium punches, which is a double hitting overhead for both the characters, and between those 2 hits that happen, you can actually tag in your next character and they can do extra damage. A lot of the Tekken side of the cast has the ability to do this without even using a tag combo. It's pretty crazy, and it's one of those things that a lot of people don't know how to deal with it right now. It seems very confusing because you're looking for, like, you figure their overheads can't be safe, right? There's got to be a period in which all of this animation can be interrupted, that I can actually say, no, stop it, uppercut here, or something, whatever I do my fastest move here. So it's challenging right now, and a lot of people are having issues with it, including myself. It seems extremely apparent that at the moment, the Tekken side of the cast has this huge jump on the Street Fighter side of the cast, which is an interesting dynamic because within the first version of the game, it wasn't really the case, and a lot of the Street Fighter characters kind of dominated over the Tekken characters. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've been having any issues similar to this one, or how your experience so far is going with Street Fighter Cross Tekken 2013, because personally, I'm still having a lot of fun with it. There's enough of the old version of the game that I still like, and there's plenty of new stuff that is also terrifying, difficult to engage, and pretty interesting at the same time. So I'm actually really liking the state of the game at the moment, but we'll see if it gets any future updates. But if you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up or a comment below. But thanks for watching, everyone. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you guys later.